This is Tyler O'Neill, a managing editor at the Daily Signal. Honored to be joined by Seb Gorka, the one and only, the best-selling author, most recently of The War for America's Soul. It's such a great pleasure to have you with us.
Well, it's great to be here. We love the Daily Signal. Full disclosure, my wife worked for the Heritage Foundation, and I'm impressed with all the exclusives. I mean, what was it, Don Jr. yesterday, today Peter Navarro, America's Mayor Rudy Giuliani, so you guys have been knocking it out of the park.
Yeah, we got Tucker, and then yesterday I did Cenk Uygur. It's
Cenk
important to
Uygur
say
came on the show.
Yes, he
Did
did.
he behave himself?
Mostly, he did do a little bit of shilling, not for the mullahs, but for the Iran deal. So I had to push back a little bit on that.
Good for you. Good for you.
So you just got here to the
Yep.
RNC, and you were following the news. Obviously, the horrific shooting, the J.D. Vance pick. Most recently, somebody has COVID. I wonder what could be going on.
Yeah, this is fascinating. Moments ago, allegedly, Joe Biden has caught COVID. You guys have to dig this up from the archives. Before he became vice president, somebody asked him on camera, what happens if you and Barack disagree? If you don't believe me, guys, you've got to just Google it. And so what if you disagree with your boss? Biden actually stumbles and then he says, I don't think we'd ever disagree. But if we did, he said the following, I'd come up with an ailment and retire. And you were like, what did he just say? So we elect you with the top of the ticket and then you just manufacture an ailment? I guess he's like 9 years late, but that's what he said.
Well, and you predicted that they would delay the vote for the Democratic National Committee. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, this is where it's just, you just sit back and buy shares in popcorn because they are in a man trap, a bear trap of their own making. It is nigh on impossible to get rid of an incumbent president. You can do the 25th Amendment, but you need 2/3 of the cabinet with the concurrence of the vice president, and you need a supermajority of Congress. And that would be such a self-burn for the Democrats. They'd never do that. So what do? Well, the only thing you can do is have him resign. And the only way that's going to happen is if Jill is like clawing to the Resolute desk for like dear life. So if they can get through to her, give them, pallets of cash, immunity for Hunter, Frank, and Joe, and everybody else, then maybe he'll leave. But then, how do you do an end run? How do you jump over the female black diversity hire? I mean, this is the ultimate.
Sitting vice president.
Can we just remind ourselves? She couldn't even scrape 3% of the primary vote of the Democrat. Less than 3% of Democrats like her. And this is the person you want to try and win an election against my former boss who was nearly just assassinated. So the Democrats are in a tough place, and it's delicious.
Well, it's funny because I like the Schadenfreude, but I fear that we're enjoying the liberal tears a little too much. There's another shoe that's about to drop. I keep waiting for it.
So Tyler, this is hugely important, and Tucker did this, and I'm like, no, just shut up. He said, oh, he's won it.
No, he hasn't.
No. Do you understand that 3.5 months in politics is an eternity, okay? They might try to kill him again. We cannot trust the Secret Service, we know that. And then we have to behave right now, irrespective of what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. We have to behave. This is a former Green Beret said this to me last week. He said, we have to fight like we are the third monkey trying to get onto Noah's Ark, okay? That is our attitude. Because we know what they did in 2020. I mean, forget about 2020. Democrats have been stealing elections since the bootlegger Joe Kennedy bought the election for JFK in '60. We know this. I mean, we're the only nation in the world who, as part of our meme culture for 60 years, joke about dead people voting in Chicago, Philadelphia, and Baltimore. This is a national joke. This is a disgrace that we joke about it because it's part of the culture. So nothing for granted. One sentence, one catchphrase. The president nailed it. Too big to rig. Too big to rig. We have to embrace, we can't change the regulations. If there's early voting, if there's ballot harvesting, we have to just out-organize the left. And look, I'm going to say just one thing. That's what I say on my daily radio show. Is 3 months of you doing something political not worth it to save the country? Because far too many conservatives think politics is something you do for 15 minutes every 2 years when you go to the polling station. And my wake-up call is, guys, you can't save the republic with 15 minutes, okay? My wife detests politics, Katie Gorka. That was 10 years ago. In the last 3 years, she has gone from being a poll volunteer to the chief election officer for our District of Virginia, and as of 3 months ago, by a 40% margin, she smoked the rhinos and became the chair of the biggest county in Virginia for the GOP. If my wife, who hates politics because she's rational, if she can do it, nobody who listens to the Daily Signal is a member of Heritage. None of you have an excuse. So make sure you save the country with us.
One of the things we've been following in the Daily Signal, and I actually have a big project on this, is the way that the administrative state circumvents the Constitution. They're like the fourth branch of government that's insulated, and it's a deep state that we saw famously under your former boss. But also we've even seen it under Biden with Israel, where the administrative state, these people, these bureaucrats try to circumvent the people's elected president. How do you see, you talk about politics can't just be something you do 15 minutes every 4 years. How do everyday Americans engage and push back on the administrative state?
Well, you have to get politically active. I mean, let's start with beyond elections. My former Breitbart colleague shocked me live on radio a few years ago when he said, "Hey Seb, all these rhinos, the problem with the Republican Party. Do you know how many local positions in the GOP are empty?" And I don't mean real ones like my wife's or precinct captain. I mean, positions beneath precinct captain that maybe 8 hours of work a month. How many of those positions are empty? And I said, "Tell me, Raheem, more than 45%. So if we think the Republican Party is somebody else's thing and not our party, then what do we expect? We complain, we say rhinos this, rhinos that. Okay, but you're sitting at home watching Netflix, eating Cheetos, and then what? Somebody else is going to save America. So get engaged. And the only way we're going to stop the deep state, and I don't even use the phrase deep state anymore. With Peter Navarro being put in prison, Steve in prison, President Trump's home being raided by gun-toting agents of the FBI. This is an in-your-face state. This is a screw you. We don't care who you choose for president. The only way we stop that is getting President Trump reelected. That is the one focus. If you're not getting Republicans registered, if you're not knocking on doors, if you're not a poll worker, poll watcher, a volunteer, you're running a phone bank. So my wife, with her little team, for the last Virginia election, they created an organization to mobilize Catholics in the Commonwealth to vote. If my wife and her little team can mail out handwritten 18,000 postcards to Catholics to say, "Hey guys, have you voted? Are you registered?" If she can do that, what are you doing? Can you spare an hour a day to maybe do that? That would be big.
So I follow this guy, Neil Howe, who talks about generations.
Oh, sorry, last thing.
Yeah.
Deep State, just go to Mike Howell's Twitter, the project on oversight. Project Oversight at Heritage. If we can do like 20% of what Mike is planning, we'll be good. But we have to win first. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So I follow this guy, Neil Howe. He talks about generational change. He's predicting that we're due for a crisis, something that pushes us together as a society where we'll either be fighting each other or fighting an external enemy. And only then can we get back to a 1950s style American high. But first we need the crisis. And I think we are all sensing that there's something coming. Something's going to hit the fan, I think.
Well, this isn't a unique concept. Steve Bannon loves the book, The Fourth Turning.
That's the one I'm talking about.
Right. If you look at history, it's not mathematical, it's not empirical, but there are big things that happen between every 60 and 80 years, world wars, pandemics, and so forth. So there is this it's not completely scientific, but there's a certain rhyme to history. And I don't want it to happen. Soft times make for weak men. That's where we are. And hard times make for strong men. war is real in Europe. War is real for the people of Israel. China is a rising military power that Peter Navarro helped us put back in its box with President Trump's leadership. So let's remember the greatest loss of life in America wasn't even fighting an external threat. It was when 600,000 Americans murdered each other in the Civil War. So we may be on the cusp of something, but God forbid it is of any similarity to what happened back then. But the best way to prevent that is to get politically engaged now. It's like, I think it was it Jefferson or was it Franklin? It was Franklin, that famous anecdote where they come out of a meeting of the Founding Fathers and this elderly lady says to Franklin, "So what do we have, sir?" And he replies, "A republic, madam, for as long as you can keep it." Question is, will we keep it? Because they're not hiding it. If they only do a fraction of what they've promised to do, lower the voting age to 16 like they did in Germany, pack the Supreme Court, redistrict America, and naturalize and give amnesty to 40 million illegals, if they do just half of that, kiss America away. Then you've created a one-party state because they've bought power forever. That's the real deep state, but now it's an in-your-face state.
Yeah. Well, would you like to add anything else? You're here for the Republican National Convention. J.D. Vance, like him?
JD is great. He's young enough to pick up the mantle in 2028. I think that's really why President Trump chose him. But JD, you're wrong on Ukraine, okay? Stop saying Ukraine doesn't matter to us, because KGB colonels invading other people's countries, sooner or later that has an effect on us as well, okay? So we'll help you out with the geopolitical stuff. You're a former Marine. We love you. Your book, Hillbilly Energy, was excellent. But what happens outside of America is also important to America.
And anything you're looking forward to here at the convention?
I'm here. I don't know why it's 4 days long. It's like, guys, really? I'm here to hear my former boss speak tomorrow. Super excited. I'll be broadcasting my radio show, America First, from just down here in Media Row tomorrow, 3 to 6 Eastern, across the nation, streaming on Rumble. One thing that really went viral is my piece in Breitbart, The Assassin That Had to Be. That was the Sunday piece with my analysis. So you may want to go to Breitbart or my Substack, but I can't wait to see the boss again.
Yeah, well, great to have you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Keep doing what you do. We love the Daily Signal, and Kevin and Mary Margaret, all of you guys, superb. And Jim Carafano, my longtime buddy. God bless you all.